I'd like to talk to you today about how not to lead worship. Now, I don't want to come off as some amazing expert, but I've learned a lot of things that work and don't work in leading worship. And the word that I want to focus on today is the word lead. And if you don't mind, I want to compare it to how we would lead a dog around on a leash. There's basically three ways that could happen. The first way is the way that we see most people walk their dogs. And that is when the dog's way out in front and the person's behind and the dog's kind of dragging them along. That's especially true for those that don't watch The Dog Whisperer, who find out how to walk a dog properly. But so the dog's pulling the master or pulling the owner. And I've noticed that sometimes worship leaders get influenced too much by reactions. And that's one of the major critiques that my wife has of me. She says, your eyes are closed too much when you're leading worship. And she's right, because a lot of times that happens. And of course, I have my lofty reasons why my eyes are closed. I'm worshiping the Lord. I'm entering into worship. But when I'm alone worshiping the Lord, my eyes are usually open. But it's that I don't like to get distracted by people's faces. Remember when God told Moses to not look at their faces when he was delivering the Ten Commandments? And I believe that a lot of that has to do with that. When people are looking at you with those scouring looks, sometimes you're intimidated and you're wondering if you're doing the right thing when you're leading worship. And so you have to own your own worship. You have to own what you're doing. Someone just told me who was on a worship team, she said that her worship leader would have a list of 10 songs on a Sunday morning. And she said the worship was only 20 minutes long. So I'm not a great mathematician, but I know that's 2 minutes a song. That really doesn't give anyone a chance to jump in and join into that time of worship. And the only thing that I could think of, I didn't do a lot of research on why he was doing that, but the only thing I could think of is that he wasn't owning the songs. He wasn't owning like where he felt like worship should go. So I guess he picked 10 songs out and he figured, at least I'll make 10 people happy. I'll hit someone's favorite song in that list. But that's not the way to lead people into worship. You have to own it first. And it's the same concept of that owner that's being dragged around by his dog. Obviously, there hasn't been a lot of training there, and the owner's letting the dog lead him wherever he wants to go. And so we as worship leaders have to take the lead. The second way that I've noticed, I happen to live on a block where a lot of people walk their dogs in front of our house. And we own a dog, and she was out in the front yard one day, and I saw this. It was a very comical picture. There was this very large man walking this little tiny puppy. It was just a little tiny puppy, and this dog was walking behind him. He's taking these long strides, and this little dog's walking behind him. And the dog decides that he wants to meet my dog, and so he stops. But this guy didn't realize it, and he just keeps walking, and he's so strong and so big, and the dog's so small, he didn't even realize, but the dog starts tumbling behind him, and I just started laughing. And this is what I call the cheerleader way of leading people into worship. I've been in services where the worship leader gets up and they're like, come on, you guys, let's sing, come on, how come you're not worshiping the Lord today? And they're cheerleading the people on, and they're focusing on maybe the people that are nominal. They're people that aren't all in, the people that aren't really worshiping. And I want to encourage you as a worship leader to focus on the pocket of people that are worshiping. When I go into a place and I'm being led to worship by the worship leader or by the worship team, I don't want to. I'm all in. I'm ready to worship. I'm ready to raise my hands. I'm ready to clap my hands. I'm ready to sing unto the Lord. So you don't have to yell at me. I'm ready to go. So focus on the people that are entering into worship. Focus on the people that are enjoying this time. And what's going to happen is the other people that are, maybe had an argument on the way to church, or maybe just don't really know what you're doing. Why are they lifting their hands? Why are they singing so loud? They're just trying to understand what's going on. And as you focus on the people that are worshiping, positive reinforcement will help others to enter into that place of worship. So you don't have to be a cheerleader. You don't have to force people. You don't have to drag people into worship. That's obviously one way to lead, but it's not a good way to lead someone. And the third way, and obviously it's the proper way, is when you see an owner walking the dog, and the dog's kind of slightly behind the owner, but right by their side. And the owner is in complete control. And I'm not saying that a worship leader needs to be in complete control of everyone in the congregation. That's not what I'm saying at all. Because there's only going to be, everyone that walks into your church isn't going to be rushing into the place of praise and worship. If you have a church that has a diverse population, people that are newly saved, people that have been saved for a long time, people that love the hymns, people that love the up-tempo songs. So there are people that come in with ideas in their mind of what worship is. So you have to just own it yourself. You have to go into that place of worship and then let them come in with you. Let them, if you're going into that place, then it's going to be easier for them to follow you in. So I just encourage you to stay away from that place where you're being dragged. You're like, oh, I don't know what songs. I'm just going to pick 10 songs out and hopefully, I make 10 people happy by picking their favorite song. And don't be the person that's dragging. Come on, you guys, you should be worshiping now. You should know better than that. Aren't you grateful for what the Lord has done? Come on, worship. That's not going to encourage people to enter in. They want to follow you in. If you go first, then they're going to come with you. I hope that helps you out, and I hope these tips will help you to continue to grow in your worship and your worship leading. Keep stopping back and checking wallsofgrace.com. God bless you.